The new rumor has recently surfaced has really upset you, right? You know, the one about eating.
Yeah, you know, people are going to write what they want to write. We are just going to write what they
What size are you, by the way?
Size?
Yeah, you're not sure?
Girls and, you know.
That's so interesting.
So hi everyone, it's Julia, and in today's video we are going to be talking about the Olsen twins and why I feel like their life is so tragic. So let's get into it. So if you don't know who Mary-Kate and Ashley are, then you're probably too young, but Mary-Kate and Ashley were two sisters who were twins that were super popular in the 90s, and they were on the sitcom Full House, and they played the character of Michelle. So when Full House ended, Mary-Kate and Ashley established a multimedia empire and were extremely famous. They sold games, they sold perfume, they sold makeup, they sold everything, and they were the youngest producers in Hollywood at age 7 with their own production company, Dual Star Entertainment. They didn't even know what that meant. Their parents were David and Jodie Olsen, and they had an older brother named Trent and a younger sister named Elizabeth, who is Scarlet Witch in the Avengers movies. So they are the richest child stars to date, with a net worth of $500 million. So think of Jojo Siwa times 35. That is Mary-Kate and Ashley in the 90s and early 2000s. So their time on Full House, so Jodie got Mary-Kate and Ashley into acting by accident. She had a friend who had a casting agent. She sent photos to the casting agent. She didn't think anything of it. David didn't think anything of it. The casting agent actually asked Jodie to bring Mary-Kate and Ashley to an audition for Full House. Jodie brought them there. Jodie basically gave them over to the casting people. They held them. Mary-Kate and Ashley did not cry, and that's how they booked the job, because they didn't cry. And I find that really sus, because as a psychology undergrad, I think about attachment styles, and the attachment styles are basically a way that a baby, a kid, develops attachment to their mother. So a secure attachment, a baby is going to cry when they're taken away from their mom. When they're taken away from their mom, they're supposed to cry, and Mary-Kate and Ashley didn't. So I found that really interesting, because Mary-Kate and Ashley were only like 4 to 5 months old when this happened, and the fact that they didn't cry, I found that very interesting. So the girls were constantly tired on set, and they were always working, they were doing school. So for example, like while Ashley was filming a scene, Mary-Kate would be doing schoolwork. When Mary-Kate was filming a scene, Ashley would do schoolwork backstage, and they were constantly working, they were tired, they felt overworked, and so this was going on a lot throughout Full House. So let's get into Adria Later. So I'm gonna just talk about the people on Full House that were really close to Mary-Kate and Ashley, and the first one is Adria Later.
When you talk to somebody, if you put your hands up all over your face, then he can't see you and the cameraman can't see you. You don't want to do this, do you? I don't know if you're going to...
Adria Later was called the baby wrangler on the show. So basically, Adria Later was responsible for making sure that Mary-Kate and Ashley could act, responsible for taking care of them. Adria spoke about how whenever the twins were on set and away from their mother, they would cry. So whenever they saw their mom, they would start to cry and they wanted to be with her. And so they basically asked Jodie to step away and to disappear, as they called it, to disappear. And then Adria kind of took over and was their like guardian, which is really sus.
It's best to not have the mom within eyesight of the child that's working, because it breaks the fantasy. There's suddenly mom, there's reality. Uh-oh, I want to go to mommy.
And it became apparent that Jodie could not be around.
It was just easier for us if the parents weren't there. They were a bit of a distraction for the girls.
We basically asked Jodie if she would not mind bringing the girls and kind of disappearing.
Because why would you leave your child with people on set and you're not even around? So that was very strange to me. So let's get into Robert Thorne. So Robert Thorne was their attorney, and he came on to the team in 1990 to negotiate Mary-Kate and Ashley's salary. So Mary-Kate and Ashley went from making $4,000 an episode to $25,000 an episode. And by the end of the show's run, Mary-Kate and Ashley were making $80,000 per episode. It's mind-blowing. So Robert Thorne got them the production deal at 7 years old, and they established their own company named Dual Star Entertainment. And they cited that this was because they wanted to make sure that Mary-Kate and Ashley were not taken advantage of in Hollywood. How ironic.
Hollywood was talking about the Olsen sisters, especially their new title, executive producer.
A certain Hollywood elite have found it uncomfortable and have not participated, but for the most part, there's been no problem.
So I might be reaching here, but what if certain Hollywood elite were so unhappy with Mary-Kate and Ashley's newfound title that they took out their anger on them? I don't believe it's that far-fetched, because we all know that a lot of men in Hollywood have complete inferiority complexes. Just the fact that he felt like he had to mention that, like certain Hollywood elite. I mean, why do you even have to mention that? Also, I think Robert Thorne just looks kind of creepy anyway, but yeah. So by season 2, Jarni questioned whether or not she wanted to keep Mary-Kate and Ashley in the show. At the end of season 1, Full House was doing terribly, the ratings were tanking, it wasn't doing well, and she was questioning if she really wanted her daughters in this kind of environment, and she wanted her daughters to live a normal childhood. And so she was questioning this, she was wondering about this. They decided to give her full-time nannies, a driver to drive the girls back and forth, so that way she did not have to stress. They also, I think, upped the salary, maybe, I'm not sure, but they gave her a lot of benefits to keep the girls in the show. So I find that very interesting that as a mom, she started to worry for her children, but once the money started to talk and once the benefits came in, she kept them in. So I just think it's interesting. I just feel like for me as a mom, all right, so pause. I'm not a mom yet, so I don't know why I said it like that, but not a mom. My children's mental health and well-being is the most important, and I want to make sure that they're being kids. I mean, these girls were working constantly. I would want to make sure they're kids, but hey, maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. So by the 3rd or 4th season, the show had become a smash hit, and the creators credited the Olsen Twins for the reason why the show was so successful. So think about it, you're 5 or 6 years old and you're the reason why a show is successful. To me, that honestly sounds really sad that at 5 or 6 years old, you're literally carrying a show. Like you're breaking your back when you're literally a kindergartner. You can barely do anything at that age. That just goes to show how much pressure Mary-Kate and Ashley were under. They were basically keeping the show as popular as they were. The Olsen twins didn't have as much acting chops, but they captivated the country. The people of America loved how cute they were and loved how funny they were. And so that's why they had such superstardom and they surpassed their adult co-stars. Mary-Kate and Ashley didn't even have an awareness of how much money they were truly making. So next we're gonna get into Bob Saget. And Bob Saget is an extremely creepy and dirty old man. So I'm gonna insert clips and let y'all be the judge of his dirtiness. These clips are from his stand-up, from his Comedy Central roast, and just any other clips I could find of him, and I will let y'all be the judge.
They, instead of Ashley and Mary-Kate, for Michelle, as a 3-year-old kid, they gave me a doll to talk to for rehearsal. Dummy, it looked like a porn doll. It was just missing the stuff. Sure. You know, all those things. You ever done that? You ever been with one of those things?
Well, not one that I would hold that would mimic a 4-year-old, but yeah. Have I ever?
We need it for blocking. Cameras need to see it. You need to see it. So I'm talking to it, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then I just grabbed it, and I just threw it on the bed and I just started pretending, that I was right. So the crew's watching this and they're laughing.
The amount of disgust I'm feeling right now, guys, this video ain't that easy to make because this is nasty. This is really nasty. I feel dirty now.
Laughing their asses off, but I did it kind of slow. I didn't do it, I took my time with it. I didn't want to do anything to offend anybody.
Well, foreplay, sure.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was very lifelike.
Wow.
What?
So next I wanted to talk about Jodie Sweetin real quick. And I'm not going to say much about her, but all I'm going to say is I believe something happened with Jodie as well. What's interesting though is that Jodie goes very strongly to denounce P-Gate and to denounce all kinds of pedophilia in Hollywood. She goes to lengths to deny it. If you go to her Instagram, she's posting stuff about how it's not real. And somebody asked her, like, you were a young actress, like, are you not able to corroborate these people's stories? And she's like, well, that was not my story. I had a great experience. Which I find interesting because she literally became enthralled in meth. She was doing meth, she was drinking, and she was driving with her daughter in the car when she was drunk. She was into a lot and she went through a lot. And she cited that this was because she didn't know how to adjust to a normal childhood. But I honestly don't believe that. I really believe that something deeper happened, and that's just my belief. I'm not saying something happened to her. I'm just saying this is what I believe.
You know, that's just my opinion. Everybody got an opinion. Everybody got something to say. Everybody.
So next we're going to get into John Stamos, and there's not that much about John online, but from what I could find, I found that he was trying to get the Olsens fired when they were really little. He didn't like them. He thought they were whiny. He thought they were annoying. He wanted them fired, but yet and still, he was the closest to them. He was the one that was kissing on them the most. He was the one touching on them the most. And I'm not accusing John of anything. All I'm saying is it's sus. He was always around them, always with them, taking pictures with them. I think he still posts them on his Instagram from time to time. At least when I used to follow him, that's what he used to post. Again, I just find them really suspect. So next we're going to talk about after Full House. So again, Mary-Kate and Ashley established an empire for themselves, and they just had so many movies. Like they came out with It Takes Two, their first feature film with Kirstie Alley. They had nearly 40 direct-to-video, so VHS movies. So that You're Invited to Mary-Kate and Ashley series.
Give me pizza! P-I-Z-Z-A. Give me pizza! Spaghetti! Pasta! Put it in a pizza! Fish sticks! Put it in a pizza! Ketchup! Put it in a pizza! Meatloaf! Put it in the pizza! Pizza!
The Mystery Adventures of Mary-Kate and Ashley. I love those series. They had their sitcoms. Again, they had their makeup, video games, literally anything they had. And they were just literally moguls. They were complete moguls by the time they were like 15. They were just completely untouchable in the realm of child stars. So again, they were overworked at times. I found a couple snippets of an article of them back when they were 13, and they were talking about how they didn't want to do interviews, and Robert Thorne basically, I guess, was negotiating with them. And so they were really overworked, but they always said that they liked work. And so this brings me to talking about their interviews. So in their interviews, they were really shy. They were really shy and really quiet, and they seemed very uncomfortable. But whenever people talked to them and said, hey, people get worried about you guys are working too much and whatever, they would always say that they liked the work, they enjoyed the work. If they didn't want to do it anymore, they would stop.
You know, the concern is people are looking at you two saying they're working all the time, and they have been working all the time since they've been really young girls. And people seem to get parental when they look at you and they say, are they having any fun?
Yeah, and if we weren't having fun, then we wouldn't be doing this, and we love doing it. And when we stop having fun, we would just stop.
I found this very interesting, and I find these answers pretty manufactured, because I believe that when you're that young sometimes, and when you've been doing something since you were literally an infant, of course you're gonna think that this is what you want to do because you don't know anything else. You don't have an idea of anything else that you want to do. And so, you know, I find it very interesting that they would say that as kids. They were always saying that they enjoyed the work, even as young as when they were like 5. So it just makes me feel like they were manipulated, probably. So I couldn't find much about what Mary-Kate and Ashley had to say about their upbringing, but I did find an interview from 2010 that Mary-Kate did with Marie Claire, and she spoke about how in 2010 she looks at photos from her youth and she didn't feel connected to them anymore. She said that she wouldn't wish her upbringing on anybody, but she wouldn't take it back for the world. And she said that her and her sister were like monkey performers. They felt like monkeys. I just think that is super, super sad. And I think it just goes to show that they didn't want to do it. They were born into it. They didn't have a choice. Also, like with their interviews, there was an interview that Oprah did with them. She was really rude to them. This is around the time they were 18. They were about to be 18. She was asking them about how much money they made, their size, and she was just trying to make Mary-Kate and Ashley look like brats. So lastly, I'm gonna get into their private adult lives. And so Mary-Kate and Ashley are now out of the spotlight and they keep to themselves. You don't see them on social media. They don't have any social media presence. They don't do anything. They're completely out of the spotlight, but they're literally the most successful fashion designer, or one of the most successful fashion designers, and they make, you know, great clothes for their demographic, and they're really successful doing that, and they're very happy doing that. So I wanted to add that Mary-Kate and Ashley don't owe anyone anything. Like, I was just thinking back to all the backlash they got for not wanting to be on Fuller House. I even remember my junior year of high school, my trig teacher was mad about it. But yeah, she was upset with it, and I just now, knowing what I know now, they don't owe us anything. They were thrust into this spotlight. They didn't have a say. They were used, manipulated, abused, and if they want to be private, we gotta let them. They deserve it. I also find it interesting about their adult life is that Mary-Kate married a man named Olivier Sarkozy, who is the brother of former French President Nicolas Sarkozy. They were married for 4 years until she had filed for an emergency divorce last May. This man is like 17 years older than her. This man is so much bigger than her. This man is super old looking. It's not even like he's old but looks good. He just looks old, and he kind of looks like Bob Saget a little bit. I just feel like there's just a lot going on there. She said that she filed for divorce because he was trying to kick her out. He said he wanted a stay-at-home wife, all this other stuff, and the whole divorce just seems to be getting really, really messy. And so I really hope that things pan out well for her. So I just saw this article saying that their divorce has been resolved. So yay, finally. As for Ashley, I think she's dating a young guy that's like in his 30s. I don't remember exactly, but last time I checked, she was dating like a 30-something-year-old artist. So that's pretty cool, I guess. But again, I just hope that they are able to kind of reconcile their childhood. A bunch of other weird things I just noticed in their interviews. An interviewer asked them if they think they're sexy. They were only 16. In an article that was written about them, Robert Thorne asked them how much skin they could show when they were only 13. So it's just a lot of weird stuff, and I just feel really bad for them, and I just hope that they can find peace. And really, like, it's just a sad thing, but I really hope they're finding peace. I really hope that they're reconciling what they went through, and I just hope that they are happy. So thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and also subscribe. I post every Sunday, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.